Auden Chandler,
Here.
Jennifer Riffle, Mark Kittle, Jackie Whitsitt.
Here.
We have just enough to start.
We do have just enough to start, and as always, I missed the entry, oh, there you are. I missed the entry reading of the inclusive and sustainable. Katie, would you please?
Basalt is an inclusive, sustainable mountain community that boasts both historic charm and progressive vision. It is an engaging place to live, work, and play while offering an abundance of creative, professional, educational, and recreational outlets.
It is. Thank you very much. Our first item is the consent agenda. If there's no questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda. Items 2 through 2B, 2A, 2AB.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Then our next item is, let's see. Oh, right. That we are starting a new ritual, which is including positive comments from out there and up here about Basalt. So it's not a very formal thing, but if you wouldn't mind just coming up to the microphone, if you have a positive, thankful, gratitude. It's not an AA meeting, I swear. Anything at all positive, Ryan, that you would like to say about Basalt, please? Sure. Okay, could you come up to the microphone? Okay. It's like I kind of drugged that one out of you, didn't I?
My name's Ryan. I'm a positive Basalt resident. Let's see, what am I going to say?
Why are you happy to be in Basalt?
Well, I'm thrilled to be in Basalt for a lot of reasons, actually. I'm thrilled to live here because it's a great place for our family to raise our kids. It's a great place to enjoy the outdoors. And it's a great place for community. And that's one thing that I've been enjoying lately is all the folks coming in to our new space and sharing their level of excitement to have a new space for community. And I'm really feeling that and enjoying that, and including a lot of little ones coming by who are at Whole Foods. So it's great. This is a great place to live, and I'm thrilled to be moved here. So
Thank you, Ryan. I know that's a definite on-the-spot kind of deal, right? Well, normally Jennifer does a positive comment for us, but since she's not here, I will volunteer myself and just say, I'm actually really grateful for all the rain. It's been nice because it was dry for a while, and lots of rain and still lots of sun because it is Colorado, right? Yay! Okay.
I have something.
Oh, goody.
But it's on the agenda. So, but I just want to do a shout out to the underpass and thank everybody because everyone was safe. We as pedestrians can now safely cross Highway 82, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. So thank you, everybody that was involved in that project.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Quick comment. That big rain microburst that flooded
Elk Run.
Elk Run. Kudos to the police, the fire department, and Public Works in particular that, pumping out people's basements. That's huge, and people were super appreciative of that from all those agencies.
Yeah. Thanks, Auden. Good, true point. We kind of maybe need to fix this a little bit because it seems like we get council comments at the same time that we get the positive, so maybe we'll just put those all together. Okay, if there's no more gratitude comments, it is now just time for members of the public to come up and make comments if they have something that's not on the agenda. If you have something that's on the agenda, we have a place for you in a couple minutes. Okay, that's what I kind of thought. Let's see. Mayor and council reports and comments. And this would be for anything else that we didn't hit on positive comments. Anything? Well, I have something. We have a citizen, Sherry Spikerman, I believe her name is. She lives in Willits, and she has been keeping very close tabs on mosquito issues in Willits, along with the drainage issues that occur there a little bit. And also, one of the things that made her start paying attention is that the Willits HOA is apparently spraying, fogging. I don't know if it's still happening, but at the time that she came in and met with Ryan and I in Public Works, fogging a chemical that is not on the totally poison list, but on the likely carcinogen list of the EPA. So anyway, long story short, I didn't take that one on, but brought her in here with all her research to speak with Ryan and also with Boyd and one of his men about making sure that we have our drains cleared. And anyway, long story short, we are looking into this further. It was a huge concern to me when she sent me this information. I was shocked that we were doing something now that I didn't think happened since the 50s. So anyway, just want to let you know that Sherry's been super patient and pragmatic and not at all panicky about this, but just wanted to make sure we knew. And after this came to my attention, I found out that Don Boyer, who is in the in-holding right there on Willits Lane, it's the part that's not developed. They got a horse and some other stuff. Anyway, he's been raising bees for 20 years, and now all of his bees are dead. So there is a direct correlation. It says so in the EPA docs that it's definitely a bee killer. So anyway, we're on that one. And that's my comment. Any other? Oh, I forgot to say this too, even though Pam puts it right in front of me. We want to also thank Grassroots for being here and for broadcasting our meeting live. People can view tonight's meeting live and previous council meetings on grassrootstv.org. Our videographer is Natalie. Thank you, Natalie. And she yells Mike at everybody who doesn't talk close to their mic.
Did you have Mayor's coffee? Did you say that?
It does, yeah. I do have mayor's coffee. It's tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at Starbucks. So anybody who would like to come and chat with me or send a message through me to any of our departments or our manager or the council, please come see me at 8 o'clock. Bring them over after. Okay, I'll bring them over after. All right. Now, how about manager's report?
Obviously, Madam Mayor, we've done a lot of talking today. We had our retreat, and so covered a number of topics. But one clarification, just for sake of the public, and I think that Mr. Sen will talk about this a bit, but late last week, we received a communication from a citizen that is living on the south side, just with regard to the final lane configuration, and the schematic that was sent out looked like there was only 2 lanes, but indeed the change has been made, and so those folks that are coming from the south side will get a dedicated right turn lane in the morning to head up Valley, and just wanted to make sure loud and clear that those out there listening understood that, and
Right.
we'll go
Yeah.
from there.
And also, I picked up on that comment on Facebook and contacted the gentleman and said that I would ask Ryan to call him, which he did immediately, but, I mean, it's just always good to just circle back outside the public meeting with staff to clarify and see if you can't get things answered, because most of the time, staff is way ahead of us on this stuff and already has the answer, so thank you again, Ryan, for getting back to him so quickly. Did we ever answer that on Facebook?
I sent you the communication,
You did?
the email back, so you could
Okay.
put the blurb
I'll
on
look
there.
for that
Yeah.
again. Thank you. Okay, presentations, update on the underpass. Nick Sen, would you like to come up and tell us some more good news about the underpass? No bad news.
No bad news. I have no bad news to bring, and the positive thing I'd bring to the meeting is, I would say, since Friday night when we opened the underpass, I'm not kidding, anybody that's gone through has either said, yay, yippee, great job, love it, blah, blah, blah. I haven't heard anybody say, I don't like the color, it's too big, no complaints whatsoever. So everybody seems very happy, a lot of positive feedback, and yeah, all the workers are getting kudos as they stand there and
Oh,
finish
wow,
up things.
that's nice.
So, we talked about giving you guys an update, and we were gonna do it a couple weeks ago at the last meeting, but Judy and I kind of decided to wait until the big events of last Friday night. If you guys didn't notice, now we're in the underpass, walking underneath, and the highway is back where it was to start. So, it's a big kind of push over Friday, Saturday to get everything back. Traffic was a little unruly, but in theory, everything's back the way it should be. There will be lots of work going on over the next 2 months, and lots of fit and finish stuff. If you have walked through, you can see that it's a lot of exposed concrete and a lot of dirt, but no landscaping, A lot of the fit and finish hasn't been done, and that's what we're gonna do for the next 2 months. By the end of this month, we should have highway back together. Importantly, and I know we've started getting some calls too, the intersection signals will start to function the way they're supposed to. Just so everybody understands, there is a lot of confusion about the signals. Basically, they're on a time pattern right now because there's no vehicle detection out there until we can finish all the paving on Basalt Avenue. And so it's gonna operate the same at midnight as it does at 8 in the morning, as it does at noon, but that's because it can't sense all the vehicles on all the corners. And so the cameras, the loops that go under the pavement, all that kind of stuff is gonna be done in the next few weeks. And so everybody's gotta, I know everybody wants to gain that 30 seconds on their commute to drive up Valley. They're not gonna get it for a little bit of time. I think the next big events are the 17th and 18th. We're gonna repave Basalt Avenue on both sides. And so there'll be another big kind of impact of traffic as we shove people back and forth to get the intersection paved. And then by the end of the month, all the PED facilities should be done. So the PED lighting won't be the string of lights that we have through the middle temporarily put up. It'll look nicer and feel a lot nicer. And then by the October the 20th, we should be done and out of Dodge altogether. So things are on time, on schedule, and on budget, same as the update before, but some big things have happened since the last time I visited. But any questions from
Does
council?
it seem like a lifetime?
Sure does.
Bernie, did you have something?
Yeah, just a question. The sensing, is the sensing visual by video, or are there sensors in the roadbed that the weight?
Big loops, and so they're put underneath the asphalt and they detect the magnetic presence of the vehicle. And so those loops, we have 8 loops put in the intersection. There's only one that's in the intersection, and it's on the one that goes right over the top of the underpass. Basically, that detection happens on the Basalt Avenue sides and then on the left turn pockets on 82. And then they also tie in, there's some detection way far back from the intersection. So the signal will tell if there's a giant buildup and say, oh man, look, it's the morning rush and I need to give more green to 82 in the morning rush, and the same thing in the evening. So, but none of that stuff is tied into the cabinet right now. It's just running in a timed loop, and that's all it does right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Nick.
Sure thing.
Thanks.
Glad we're at least open for pedestrians. That was crazy.
It's so huge.
It was really
We're
huge.
so pumped. Such a good thing.
Oh,
I'm
Is that
so
your pumped
pumped
face, Gary? Me too.
that I don't have to sit there and watch the bus go by and go,
exactly.
or get ready for the big run.
Right.
It's so nice.
Yeah, don't do the big run. Okay.
No, I don't run in the traffic, but you still have to walk all the way around and get all the way around. It's, you know, when you see a bus, it's like, I wear my running shoes all the time, because, you know, me and whoever's at that light, if you wanna get that bus.
I know.
So much, it's a good little workout in the morning.
Okay, under council actions, our first one is Resolution 23, a resolution of the town identifying performance standards and requirements that the arts campus at Willits must satisfy in order to obtain additional funding from the town of Basalt. And this would be who and who?
Susan?
Yep.
Okay,
And Susan, just give me 1 second to grab.
all right.
Putting Bruce on the phone, and,
So it's Susan. And could you guys just introduce yourselves, please, just for
Hold
the
on, let's get
record?
Bruce, because he's about to.
Well, they can introduce themselves whether or not.
Hi, I'm Ryan Honey, Managing Director of the Arts Campus at Willits.
And I am Jody Edwards, attorney for the Arts Campus at Willits.
Thank you very much.
hey Bruce, it's Susan, I'm just kinda doing a volume check. Is everybody here, Bruce, okay?
Hello, Bruce, it's Jackie.
Hey, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
Aye.
So our format today is that I'm gonna give a brief, presentation about where we are and the changes that have been made to the resolution since the last time you've seen it, and what we have programmed today, hopefully, is a successful, adoption of the resolution. And, we have Bruce here really for questions. We thought that since you've seen it so many times that we didn't need to go over it in a lot of detail, but we're prepared to kind of run through some of the spreadsheets if we need to. So the thing that I wanted to point out is what this resolution is doing. What the resolution is doing is trying to establish a framework for how we're going to spend the arts RETA money that can only be used in the arts parcel in Willits Town Center. And when does TACA, the arts campus at Willits, at what point in time are they in charge of spending the money and under what rules? So the main thing that I want to point out is the two key changes that we've made to the resolution since the last time that you had it in your packet, which was for the July 11th meeting, but we didn't talk about it at that meeting. So the two biggest changes are, one, we got rid of this TACA trust account that was going to be managed by a third party that was going to kind of manage the funds in the interim, and we replaced that with a liability account that would be controlled by the town of Basalt. And then the second change that we made is, before it was automatic that at the time that they received a certificate of occupancy, that the TACA funds would then be managed by TACA under the rules that we set. But what we did here is we said, we're going to extend that time that we're running the liability account. It's going to be 2 years after the certificate of occupancy, and at that time, TACA can petition the town of Basalt, and the town of Basalt can review the reporting and everything that TACA's been doing, and see if they're comfortable at that time turning over the management of the liability account to TACA. At that point, the liability account ends and it goes to a TACA fund at that point. And so the terms that we call things kind of change. Some things are kind of fundamental principles that haven't changed since you've been looking at it in the last couple months. One is that this kind of sets the framework that Ordinance 12, 2017 that you adopted a couple months ago gave another $36,000 to TACA for operating expenses. And this clarifies that we're not going to give them any more money for operation, and under the resolution, they don't get any additional money for operations until they actually have a building permit. So that hasn't changed. The other thing is that we have performance standards like we had before. So the key one is that for every $1 million that TACA finds binding pledges for, that the town of Basalt will contribute $100,000, and that money then goes into the liability account. And at the time of building permit, there's this one-time calculation that happens where they can spend 20% of the funds for operating or capital expenses. You know, we clarify in the resolution that the intent is to give them money so that they can do programming, but we're not going to limit it. It just has to be for expenses that are permitted for under the declaration that we have for use of the money. And so nothing's really substantially changed. The only thing we clarified on that one, we maybe cleaned up some language, and we said it's every 100 million. We're not going to process a request that, you know, I have 500,000 and now I want some money. We're just clarifying it's at each $1 million increments. 3, this idea in your staff memo here, the reporting. The reporting is essentially the same as what you saw before. We added some clarifying language, but we did add that in the reporting that they're providing information, kind of an aging report on their binding pledges. Elsewhere in the resolution, it's kind of clarified that they're considered binding pledges in the state of Colorado. And so that's new from what you saw before. 4, there are limitations on how much that TACA can draw from the fund once we turn the money over to them, and that's a good question to Bruce, if you have questions about that, and the exhibit that's attached to the resolution kind of provides the calculations for how those are done. That has remained the same as what you saw before. And we incorporated into the resolution the language that we had originally as kind of an option that said that we're gonna charge the Arts Rita for town staff time, attorney time, plus an administrative fee. So those are kind of the key points. I did hand out in front of you kind of a revised sheet that's the last piece of your resolution, and we just didn't catch on that last sheet that we changed the trust account to liability account. And the other thing that we changed before the last at the last meeting was that it's the last piece, when the money gets turned over to we're calling it the endowment fund, and we didn't get all of those changes, and so I kind of highlighted where they're at on here. So with that, we've done a lot of work on it, and had a lot of conversations about it, so I think we're feeling pretty comfortable at this time that we'd like to move forward with approval.
Do either of you have anything to add to that?
No, I think we've heard from the council the comments you've had, and I think this has been a good give and take process and landed at a place where it addresses the concerns that we've heard from you and establishes some long-term fiscal security for us, but also demands that we do our work before this comes our way. So we're pleased with where we landed and look forward to doing that work.
Okay. Council questions, comments? Katie?
I have a few questions.
Okay.
So, I was just talking with Ryan earlier about this document, this resolution describes a lot of documents that are required to be delivered to the town staff and council. But one of the things that it doesn't address is the analysis of that information and what we can do if the town staff and council is uncomfortable with the analysis of that information. What's our recourse?
Is this a Bruce thing, or?
Bruce, do you want to try to answer? Do you want me to answer it?
Well, I guess I would ask for a little bit of clarification on what kind of analysis is being envisioned. Are you talking about financial analysis or the more qualitative reporting of their activities and partnerships?
More of the financial.
So if
Can we reference a specific provision so we know what we're talking about?
Well, I think what Katie's kind of getting to generally is that if you're due to non-compliance with the requirements set in the resolution, so you're on page 7G, you withhold. So there's 2 points, but let's deal with this one. Let's say that the fund has already been established, that TACA's now managing the money. At that point, you're kind of under G, where the finance director, the mayor, or counselor can recommend withholding the release of RETA funds. And then in that event, so it can be a counselor, you're getting the information, it can be the town manager, and it can be the mayor that say, I just don't think that they're performing, they're not giving the adequate information. And we put the item on the agenda and we have a meeting where we discuss it. It might be something, maybe this is a bad example, but let's just say that someone was under investigation, and so you could have this hearing, and maybe TACA says, well, they're under investigation for a traffic violation. This has nothing to do with the, management of TACA money, and you guys would say yes. Or you could say, on the end of that, it says, following such hearing, the town council in its sole discretion may decide to release the funds and/or to impose any conditions on the release of the funds. So at that point, once there is a fund, then that's kind of how you're dealing with it. Before, while it's a liability account, well, the other main thing is that you don't have to turn the money. Before, in the resolution you saw before, it was automatic, pretty automatic. At the time of certificate of occupancy, they prepare the documents, town attorney approves, and the money is automatic. Here, what happens is that CAW's gonna have to petition you to be on a town council agenda, and then you're going to decide whether they're meeting kind of requirements that you have. And there's language in here about, that you can deny and give them a time period for, they can't keep on every month asking to have you release them unless in the action where you denied them, you picked a shorter time period. So those are kind of the two I think major, like what can you do if you get information that you don't like. The one thing that was kind of key to what we were doing is this 2-year kind of period after certificate of occupancy. Because at that point, they really are operating a center, and so at that point, they should be able to demonstrate to you that they can manage the books and they can do a good accounting and they can stay within those rules that Bruce had us add in here, that they can't bring down that fund below the $200,000 the year before, and they can only spend 10% of the money. And unless you guys waive it, unless they ask you and you waive that. So that's just another way of making sure the funds are there. I think our main concern here was one concern of ours is obviously making sure that they're running a good business plan, and so we can feel comfortable. And the other kind of underlying thing that was always going through our mind was we didn't want CAW to think that they could come to us for funds, and that was a lot of the reasons that we, structured this kind of the way we did. We ended up taking out that option of, setting aside a certain percentage of the funds for us to control for a rainy day fund, because we thought then it lessened their idea of responsibility, that it's really their program and it needs to kind of perform on its own. I think we're going into new ground. This isn't something that most governments kind of do. So, is it perfect? Are we going to learn something from it? I think we will, but I'm not sure.
Is this addressing?
Susan, can I just jump in with one other observation?
Yes.
I think I agree completely with what you said. I would also just emphasize the importance, as I see it, in having that independent audit each year as part of the reporting from a third-party CPA, and really using that as an early warning system of any financial stress, flagging any one-time aberrations in revenues or expenses, and giving CAW the opportunity to explain whether and how that is a one-time aberration and what they'll do to make sure it doesn't become a structural deficit. And then just flagging any other things that seem to be trending in the wrong direction, either on the revenue or expense side. I would also point out that while the town has a huge stake in the ongoing feasibility of CAW, you'll be joined by the bank, first and foremost, the lender that has the first mortgage on the property, as well as some key donors. I'm sure will want similar information to make sure that their monies are being put to good use and aren't papering over any structural defects that are popping up on the financial side. From my experience with commercial real estate lenders, I think they'll be even more vigilant than the town, and that's a good thing. We can almost piggyback off of some of their due diligence and ongoing discussions with TACA on their real estate loan, in addition to having the ongoing reporting that's detailed in the resolution. So, I don't envision a whole lot of, I guess, unique analysis, but really having that financial audit, as well as other information as a way to detect problems and really facilitate conversations about how TACA plans to address anything that might come up.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
the other thing I wanted to add is that one of the things that we added was this, in the reporting requirements, number 11, statement on compliance with required loan payments for which there is a lien on the Art Center. So that was kind of another addition that we made, along with those aging reports on the binding pledges that is on number 7.
Thank you.
Are you good?
I'm fine, thank you.
Bernie,
Thanks,
or?
Bruce.
Jackie, if I could
Yes, Tom.
add briefly, in addition to what Susan discussed as far as a request to withhold the release of funds for noncompliance, in addition, you have automatic provisions providing automatically for the withholding of funds in paragraph 4E, which is on 14 of 16 in your packet, and one of them is an adverse opinion in the of the auditor, as Bruce was referring to. Also, default on a loan. So, and the failure to set up a capital budget line item. So, if presumably, if the cause is having financial problems, those either default on a loan and/or an adverse opinion are going to show up to trigger the town's right to withhold funds.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, I just really want to acknowledge that we have the big guns out looking at this, this ongoing project, and I think it's for the best for the town and for TACA. I mean, it's really been looked at, and I think that a lesser council and lesser staff people on your side as well wouldn't have done this good a job. So I just have to say thanks to everybody all the way around. Bernie?
Yeah, I would say I've spent quite a bit of time on this resolution with Bruce and Susan and Brian, and I think it is a very well-crafted document which provides many safeguards for the city's highly significant investment in this independent arts group. And it sets up many hoops of compliance and reporting and disclosure for a lot of financial transparency. No document can anticipate every possible problem. People are going to do what they're going to do. This document also allows the maximum flexibility by the TACA board in carrying out their vision for a vibrant arts facility in the Willits area. And we wanted to give them that leeway to realize and have creative approaches to be able to realize their vision. And so I think it's a very well-crafted document, and it shows the city's confidence level in the TACA board to carry out the building of the Art Center and the operating of it.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion that we pass resolution number 23, series of 217, approving the TACA funding arrangement.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So on that last note, I just have to say, I have drugged myself and others through this temporary theater, or whatever we're calling it, so many times that I'm driving them crazy. But Ryan encourages that, so if you have not seen,
Please come by, yeah.
yeah,
We're gonna open our
please
doors
go
on
by and
Friday.
look.
You can come by anytime before then. I'm there almost all day, all night. But this weekend, we have a great weekend of programming: jazz on Friday, kids shows Saturday afternoon, stand-up comedy Saturday night, and every week and weekend after that will be open. So I also want to acknowledge your staff, Pam has done great work for us to help us get our liquor license going, and Jim and Susan and others. So I'm really grateful to the staff for their efforts on our behalf. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Thanks. See you this weekend.
See you this weekend, for sure.
So Carol and Louie, can you come on up?
Okay, the next item is Resolution 24, resolution of the town approving amendments to the town's capital improvement plan for 2017 through 2021 to permit the Willits Playground Improvement Project, approving the Willits Linear Park Playground Improvement Project, and authorizing staff to enter into a contract.
So
Yes.
we have in front of us, two representatives of the Sopris, one.
Hi, Bruce. Click by.
So with us today, we have two representatives of the Sopris Meadows One Owners Association. We have Carol Hawk and Louis Dallenbach. And this.
Welcome to Town Council 101, right?
Good to be back.
And if you remember, at the June 27th meeting, they came to us and we had kind of a motion for how we were gonna move forward on the Willits playground equipment. And this is a project that was really instigated and really managed by the Sopris One Willits Homeowners Association. And we've been a partner on this. The town of Basalt provided the survey work, and we matched funding on the planning activities. And again, in the June meeting, we set forth how we were gonna go out to bids on the project. So we did, and we had 7 contractors that came to the pre-bid meeting, and we had 2 contractors that came to bid for the project. So what we have in front of us today is the next step, which is this resolution. And in the resolution, what we do is we're recommending that Daily Property Services be granted the contract to construct the linear park improvements for a price of $252,800. And this is for, and this is, kind of an important part of this resolution, this is for the active play area of linear park. So where this is exactly where the active play area is today. All that play equipment gets removed, the play area gets slightly enlarged, and brand new fun play equipment gets added to the park. The bid included 3 phases. It included a natural play area that was located not within the ditch as kind of shown on this map, but near the ditch, and then there were slides that were also included in phase 3. Just because the amount of the bids that we got and that we're still kind of juggling money, as you can see in the resolution to make this happen, we're moving forward with the active play area. The native play area ended up getting a lot of neighborhood concerns with the proximity of the natural play area to the townhouses. And so one of the things that this resolution does is it confirms that the natural play area is not included in what we're approving today. So one kind of an important piece of this is that this project falls within the budget that we have adopted, but we are including here an amendment for our capital improvement plan. When we adopted that plan in January, we adopted by resolution, and we didn't really kind of set how closely we had to conform to it. So it just seems safest to kind of outline and be very upfront about what we're doing. So we're amending the capital improvement plan. We include those sheets in your packet material. And essentially the easy way to look at this is that we're kind of taking money that we had originally kind of programmed for the Basalt River Park, and we're substantially under that. The resolution also acknowledges the 1% for public art, that gets applied to the project. And then it authorizes the town manager to enter into any agreements necessary to implement the funding. So Again, one important part of this, and I won't go over the details, but on the second sheet, we kind of outlined what we're doing with the money and the different pieces of it. One kind of important piece is that Eagle County gave the Cypress Meadows HOA $12,000, and it was actually for the natural play area, and they wanted it done by October. Carol Hawk contacted Eagle County, and they have gotten back to us that it's okay that we spend the money on the active play area, and they weren't concerned with the slight extension of the deadline. So that was huge. We have a resolution in front of us today that we're looking for approval, and I'm sure that Carol and Louie might want to add some additional comments.
a question first, and then
Well, no, you guys go. I
Okay,
can wait till after.
okay, then you guys go.
Well, I just want to start with, I've been in the neighborhood now for 17 years. My kids were 2 and 4 when we wanted to improve this playground. They're now 20 and 21, or almost 20 and 21. So it's been a long road. It's something we really wanted. Your
grandchildren will enjoy it.
Caitlin's better not be watching. I think, the process was good. We kind of had a hiccup. Craig Scott was a big part of this. When we rolled it out, the townhomes were not aware of the natural play area. It hadn't been communicated to them, and they were very upset. I went out and I met with the townhome owners, and I understood. I mean, it was 10 feet off the back of their property. So I kind of understand where they were coming from. And then when the bids came in so high, it was easy to just kind of walk away from that and be like, let's do what we all want and get this playground finally up to par with what our neighborhood deserves.
Right. Louis, did you have anything to add?
No, I'm new to it, and I'm thrilled, because my grandchildren will enjoy it.
And so will Carol someday.
So, I just want to, overall, I really love the fact that the community got involved and it's helping fund this. This is great. The one thing for staff is, just because we budgeted a whole bunch of money for post doesn't mean we just move it around. Honestly, that's a completely different project than what we originally budgeted the money for, so I'm happy you're bringing it back in, because we need to review that. Because I don't like the moving of money on projects that are completely different than what we originally budgeted for. But for this one, I'm pretty good, and the only question I had is there, I guess there's no one out there that's really seems to be against it, but have you heard of any other complaints that we'll potentially hear about when the construction starts?
No, the biggest pushback was the natural play area and the town homeowners, and we've eliminated that.
Great.
The other thing that I've heard is people want the bathrooms, and they weren't in phases 1, 2, or 3. They were in a later phase, and so we don't have those programs now at all.
Anybody else?
Question,
Yes.
when does the decommission start, the removal of the playground, and how long is it gonna take?
We put in the contract, we were worried about removing the playground equipment and not having it, so we put language in there that the playground equipment could only be gone for 60 days without having the new playground equipment there.
And
So-
start once school's in
Well,
session, so there aren't so many.
No, we're actually, there's such a lead time on the ordering the playground equipment. That's really the huge kind of piece on this. So, that's one reason we're really pushing this back close into November. Kind of a November completion is kind of how I envision this happening. And I didn't mention it, but, the current plan is that Ms. Mayer is taking the swings and the monkey bars, and the Sopris Village HOA is taking the slides, the slide piece. Their mover wants to have the set of plans when this was actually built, and this was Chris Everett's, and there's no way we can find that. So who knows? Our backup plan is we're taking it to Habitat for Humanity. So.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else?
I was gonna ask, because I mentioned to Ms. Mayor, and
a couple of weeks ago, and she sounded like it wasn't gonna be able to work for her. Is that right? Are we taking
No,
it to
we-
Habitat, or she is gonna take some?
I think it's all gonna work out, Louis.
Oh, super, okay.
Okay,
Nice.
you could try Crown Mountain as well.
Okay.
Anybody else? Are we done? Did we do this? Just about.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 24, series of 2017.
Second.
Did you second? I second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good
Thank you.
luck.
So exciting.
It's like, it was your babies and it was like our underpass that took 17 years?
About the same.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good luck.
So I am sort of curious, based on the budget stuff and moving things around, how does that occur? Did we
Well-
vote on that somewhere? To change the capital improvement plan?
That's
move
part of
stuff
that
around?
resolution. The resolution did
We
that.
just now did.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah.
okay.
And keep in mind that the budget was general. The budget was very general. It had.
I know, but we should,
Yeah, yeah.
we should be
And then-
bringing that stuff in because it was general, but they were supposed to go to certain
Right.
places.
And then in CIP, we
Okay.
outlined the.
Yeah.
And I think that when we talk about the CIP next time around, we maybe just want more clarification of, how do we want to handle things
We'll
like that.
deal with that.
you know?
Yeah, because we did talk a little bit about, past times of playing a little fast and loose with moving things and doing things with the budget, so.
That's why we were trying to be upfront in the resolution that we were doing.
Anyway, okay, hello, how are
Hi.
you?
Nice to see everybody again. Pat McMahon, I'm Tim's father, and in case you didn't know, and he's out of town, so he asked me to sit in case there are any questions or comments.
Good, good, okay.
He's a neighbor
so-
as well.
Yes, the
Okay.
closest neighbor.
So this is a public hearing and a second reading of ordinance 17, an ordinance of the town approving an insubstantial PUD amendment to amend the building envelope on Lot 6 of the Cotstone Lot Line Adjustment Minor Subdivision at 133 Ridge Road.
I'll be recusing myself from this item. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie. You're probably going home, right? All right. Okay, go ahead, Watkins.
Sure. Well, as Madam Mayor just said, we are changing the building envelope to accommodate the design that the applicants want, and this is a continuation. We continued from the last hearing because there were questions about the current construction that's going on at the site. And I want to correct something I said in the staff presentation last time, that the building permit has been issued with the provision that they do not construct the part that will extend beyond the platted building envelope. And I've been to this site again, and so it's being framed, it's coming along, but what they're doing is what they're allowed to be doing.
Thank you, Watkins. Okay. Anything else on this?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, well, it is public hearing. Is there anybody, I'll open the public hearing at 6:50. Anybody that has comment on this project? Seeing none, close the public hearing and go to council.
Mayor, I move the town council approve ordinance number 17, series of 2017 on second reading.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for
Says
coming
thanks.
in.
Sarah says thanks. My grandson says thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Pat.
Bet.
He's not talking yet, is he?
He's got the motorboat thing going.
Okay, the next item is an emergency ordinance number 18 of 2017, an ordinance of the town imposing temporary changes to construction noise regulations during the Grand Avenue Bridge project. And who is the staff person on this?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Okay, Madam Mayor and council, this was a request from Jennifer Riffle and something that was on our radar as well, but it's timely, just dealing with the imminent closure of the bridge and trying to accommodate some different construction hours allowances for that, so that those that are working on construction projects and hauling trash would be able to amend their schedules a bit to work around that. There's an anticipation that there could be up to a few hours of wait if you're trying to go through normal commuter times at those peak hours. And so what we had proposed for you in this It would go into effect immediately, but would sunset after the 95-day period of the bridge closure. We'd add an hour of allowable construction time on each end of the day. Currently, it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We would allow it from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. We would not allow backup, alarms before 7 a.m., however, and there would still be no construction allowed on Sundays. I also put in here on the staff report that you have what the other communities within the valley are proposing. We are most closely aligned with Glenwood, but Aspen and Carbondale have also tweaked the allowable construction hours.
Thanks, Ryan. I think this is really good that we are doing some little part on this Glenwood project, so I'm glad that Jen brought this forward. Yes, sir.
I have to admit, I'm not that happy with our hours. I personally believe that, putting a 6 o'clock construction start and 8 p.m., especially on a Saturday, that's a lot. I'm willing to change some, but I'm gonna vote against going to 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the weekdays and Saturday. I just, I know the trash haulers and everybody else having problems, but we're even going past what Glenwood's doing on Saturday, and I'm just, I believe in some, but, I do like to sleep in the morning, and if I heard, some trucks cannot shut their backup alarms off.
Right.
And I just, unless we change those hours, I'm hoping that we can vote against this and stay the same, because Carbondale didn't change all that much. It's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
They'd be matching what we currently have.
Tom?
Just informationally, the code doesn't, right now, on the hours, it doesn't treat Saturday any differently than any weekday in our current code. Now, that doesn't mean you can't treat Saturday differently for this time period. I'm just so that you understand, we don't have a rule that would treat Saturday, that prohibits the construction noise on Saturdays or that limits it in any way that's different from weekdays. That's just what the current code says.
Can we hear where construction projects are ongoing for this time period?
Well, I think, Madam Mayor, we would still have the school construction project and the firehouse. The bridge, the underpass project would be another. Anything down in the
Real America,
Oh, Real
Willis
America.
Real
Block
America.
7.
Willis.
Yeah, Willis Block 7, yeah.
Oh, well, it's right.
And the Tim McMahon project, and there's probably some other single-family around that are,
Okay.
oh, and Block 4, Sopris Meadows, the Park Modern building
Oh, Park
is
Modern,
under
right.
Yeah.
construction.
Okay. Well, I was just trying to determine if this is more pain than it's worth kind of thing. It sounds like we have several projects that are public projects and kind of away, but also some projects that are in the hoods. Yeah, Katie?
What is Carbondale's normal construction hours?
7 to 5, right? Oh, no, we don't know.
I can't answer that question.
My recollection is that their regular hours were what ours normally are.
So they didn't make a change.
They changed it
Okay.
to what our normal hours say.
Well, our normal hours, though, okay, no backup alarms before
That's unique to us, I believe.
8, today. Today, you can't have the backup alarms.
What, in our code? Yeah, you can, it's just not.
No, use of heavy equipment with backup alarms in residential zone district is prohibited before 8.
So we
And-
paid by that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have it, but it's 8 AM, it's not.
Okay, let me ask this. This is just an opinion.
Yeah.
This is an opinion question. What if we give this a week or till the next meeting to see if there's terrible ramifications to the construction people before we do this? I mean, have we heard anybody ask for this?
I have not fielded a
Construction.
call, with regard to a concern.
Anybody?
I think we'll get a lot of calls if we shift it from 6 to 8, and then my concern would also be, it's gonna get dark, and now we're gonna start dealing with lighting these projects, in addition to the noise. We are now gonna have lighting intruding into our lives for 14 hours a day. So I'm with Gary, I have some pretty significant concerns about a 14-hour construction period in my backyard.
Do you,
You know, our park people
just a
ask.
second. How do you feel about just letting it sit for a couple of weeks?
I'm fine with that. I mean, 7 AM to 7 PM is pretty darn generous.
Bernie, Auden?
I'm good with letting it sit, and if we get complaints, looking at the nature and the volume, and
Yeah, Auden?
Ryan, why wouldn't we just do what Glenwood did? How different is that?
Glenwood, they went from 6 to 8. So we sort of mirrored
Okay.
what they had done on the weekdays, but on the weekends, they have to stop at 6 PM. They don't allow that.
I see.
Yeah, so we were a little more generous in that department.
I guess I would vote for it just because I think if it's painful for us, it's gonna really be, this project's gonna be really painful in Glenwood. And I think we need to do what we can to take the pain off Glenwood, but I understand your concerns too.
And I guess my other concern is that I'm not sure that we will be helping that much, and so I would like, that's the only reason I wanna wait and see, is if this is not a real squeeze point on people, I think we will hear. If it's just like, oh my God, we can't get to the projects, and I think it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna be, well, I don't know. Do we have a motion on the floor at all?
No.
Okay, so, we don't have a motion.
You want to,
We don't need a
table it so that we could bring it back, or do you want us to renotice it, or?
It's not noticed.
Oh, it wasn't noticed 'cause
Was
it's
it noticed? Well,
emergency.
I would,
It's
could
emergency.
we get a
Okay.
motion to table it to the next,
Do you
Well,
recommend?
and is it still an emergency at that point?
no.
So that raises a question that
Okay.
I don't think you should mess with it. I think
Okay.
if you wanna not act on it now as an emergency ordinance, you should just not act on it.
Good point. It's not an
And
emergency.
Yeah, and then if it needs to come back up, we'll see what the reason for it is at that point.
Susan?
Well, I'm just gonna point out that there's language that we've used in the code before on a case-by-case, basis. On the underpass, remember we brought it up to you. It was when Ron Miller was here and we were doing something and we've used that provision before on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, we have, but we're just saying, if it's not gonna be adopted tonight, then
Okay.
appears that you don't see it as an emergency, and we can bring it back to you based on the facts as they develop.
So if we do not have a motion, then this dies for lack thereof.
Right.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that was the end of this. If anybody has a burning desire to say anything else?
To adjourn?
Thank you. All in favor?
aye. Aye, aye.